Hello everyone, this is AndresRestart, and today we have so many different Nintendo Direct leaks, rumors, teases. They're coming out left and right all over the place. There's so much to cover here, and quite frankly, I'm not going to be able to cover it all, but I'm going to try and cover a lot, talk about these things, and hopefully get excited for the presentation tomorrow to see what actually happens. There's just so much to get into today, so I'm going to try to keep things simple and just run through all the different stuff we've been hearing about. So, friend of the channel Attack the Backlog and Nash Weedle are apparently teasing some announcements from several big publishers here during the Direct. Capcom, Square Enix, Ubisoft, Mario what? We'll talk more about that later. From Software, EA, Bandai Namco, and Rockstar. Rockstar is a really interesting one to me. All these others are pretty conceivable given what we already know about and what we expect to hear more about in the not-so-distant future. But Rockstar, there have been rumors of a Red Dead Redemption 2 coming to Switch 2. Like, if maybe we finally see that in this Direct, that would be a pretty big deal. Could we hear something about the next Grand Theft Auto? I would say that's unlikely, but we'll see. Anyways, these are kind of just some little hints about what may show up. And for those that ask, Attack the Backlog and Nash Weedle are one of the few sources that knew about the Nintendo Direct timing. Have known about other Direct presentation timings like the Partner Showcase, and in the case of Nash Weedle, has been continually getting things right throughout the year. We've talked about this before, but just so you know in case you were not aware. Now, an interesting tease is coming from Necrofelipe from Universal Nintendo, which, yes, take with a grain of salt, but Necro here is saying Fire Emblem. He's saying it in Portuguese, like, this is Fire Emblem. Fire Emblem what? Are we finally going to see a new Fire Emblem game or a remake announced during the Direct tomorrow? Seems like that's the hint here, so we'll see, but that has me excited because I feel like it's been a little bit too long for Fire Emblem, and I'm hoping we get something pretty exciting for Switch 2 here. Now, this is just new information, but Metroid Prime 4, we've got an interesting update regarding its rating in Brazil. So Nintendo had actually requested that Metroid Prime 4's rating would be 12+ in Brazil, but it's actually going to be 14+. And here are some of the classifying factors. Violent content mitigated by fantastical context. Mutilation mitigated by scene composition. Aggravating factors, weapon with violent act, and intentional death were aggravated by frequency. I appreciate that Necrofelipe went ahead and translated all this, but it's interesting to think about that Nintendo wanted Prime 4 to be rated 12+, but they had to move it up to 14+. Now, in the grand scheme of things, this is still basically early teenager, rated teen, basically, but yeah, it's interesting to think about, like, with Prime 4, what are we going to see? Are we going to see some pretty dark moments? The other Prime games certainly have that. None of them have ever been rated mature, rated M. I think you need to have, like, some pretty grotesque, bloody things happening, like realistic-looking blood and, like, realistic-looking people for a rating like that to show up, or other types of stuff. So when it's dealing with just, like, aliens and alien blood, you can go pretty dark without it being that high of a rating, and it seems like maybe Retro Studios was going for that, but in Brazil, they had to up the rating just a little bit more, which just has me excited to see more about Metroid Prime 4 tomorrow, where they almost assuredly will be giving us some sort of update on release timing, which I do still expect to be this year. That seems extremely likely, but we'll know for sure tomorrow. Now, Nash Weedle has put out another leak express. He is saying that Avatar is being brought to Switch 2, and that Far Cry 7 will be released in 2026 along with the others as well, a day-and-date release. Something else Nash Weedle is talking about, though, is how there's going to be a decent amount of Resident Evil coming to Nintendo Switch 2. On September 3rd, he said, well, finally, the Nintendo Switch 2 will be the home of all the Resident Evil games. And then more recently, he said, a lot of people are asking, Resident Evil 7 is not the only game that will arrive on Switch 2. I already mentioned it just a few weeks ago. So for some context, Switchforce, who's also been getting a lot of things right recently, especially the September 12th date for the Nintendo Direct tomorrow morning, he has been teasing that there's going to be 3 games having to do with 7 in the Direct, and more recently, just a couple days ago, we talked about how this is likely Resident Evil 7. But there's conversation that more than just Resident Evil 7 will be coming to Nintendo Switch 2. And actually, Nate the Hate in his predictions podcast also talked about Resident Evil and said that Resident Evil 2 and 3, these remakes, are coming to Switch 2. He said that definitively, and that they're supposed to have feature parity. Now, where there's room for interpretation here of what may actually happen is if they're going to show up in the Direct tomorrow or not, and what this feature parity means. It's talked about how feature parity might mean ray tracing at 120 frames per second on Switch 2. Switch 2 is technically capable of both. We've seen ray tracing in some games already, some ambitious ones, and it even show up better than on Xbox Series S. And we've seen some games run at 120 FPS on Switch 2, like Fast, Silksong, and Metroid Prime 4. Metroid Prime 4 being a fairly ambitious title. So maybe Resident Evil 2 and 3 could also have a 120 FPS mode, but me being honest, I don't expect that. But we'll see what happens. Now, coming back to Switch Force here, this may not mean anything, although I feel like it means something. Switch Force responded to Andy Robinson, the CEO of Video Games Chronicle, where he said, "I'm in a big Mario mood this week," with a little mushroom. Could be him teasing something Mario related, maybe he heard of something, maybe he didn't. A lot of us are expecting Mario anniversary news because Mario's 40th anniversary is this Saturday for the Super Mario Bros. Series, and Nintendo usually does something pretty big every 5 years for Mario's anniversary, and it seems like the stars are aligning here because Nintendo positioned the Direct on a Friday, right before this anniversary time. Some people might say that they moved the Direct back because of September 11th, but also Nintendo oftentimes does Directs on Wednesdays, and so they could have done that, but instead they chose to do it on a Friday where they don't do that kind of thing. So it's very interesting. I think definitely Mario is going to be playing a significant role for this presentation. But anyways, Switch Force says they buy the new systems for the mustache and puts a whole bunch of mustache emojis, has this gift of Mario throwing his hat. Here we go. So yeah, that's a neat little gift there. But yeah, I think this is likely a tease. Now, what's it a tease for? Some sort of Mario title coming out for this holiday season. That way people will be more likely to pick up the console for the Mario game. That's what I think. Now, maybe it could just be something Mario being teased so people get excited about the console and that's it. Either way, it could be a big deal. Like, yeah, last night I first saw this, I was thinking, oh, is Switch Force indicating we're going to see a teaser for 3D Mario? That's definitely what I want to see, and I don't think we should rule it out as a possibility as the closer of this big 60-minute Nintendo Direct. But also could just be a teaser for another Mario release this year that might not even be that substantial, although I think there is something substantial. We've talked about it before, perhaps a remaster of Mario Galaxy 2. Fingers crossed, this rumor from Special Nick holds true. Now on that note, Nash Weedle also posted last night, Mario movie plus Mario game, question mark, thinking emoji, and then you see this little galaxy gif here. Could there be something going on relating to the galaxies? Well, we go back to this person 21 hours ago. World, no. Galaxy, yes. Last night, September 10th as well. Who is Kudukasi's? I don't know. But apparently, he also said popcorn emoji, ticket, eye emoji. Looks like he's talking about a movie here. And then, apparently, Necrofelipe from Universal Nintendo follows him, and he said, in response to Kudukasi's, sometimes the world isn't enough for a plumber. So he goes after the galaxy itself? Okay, so I think this is interesting because we gotta remember that a little while back, Universal Studios on their website had listed the Mario movie as Super Mario World and then took it down. So is this an indication that the Mario movie is actually gonna have more to do with Galaxy than World? Could be. And even more interesting, Necrofelipe points out some new domains that NBC Universal just registered for. Super Mario Galaxy, lefilm.com, Super Mario Galaxy, lapellicula.com. And I went and looked these up. One of them just kind of failed, but the other did lead to an official Universal page of the Mario movie. So this looks pretty darn legitimate. And Wario64 just pointed out that Super Mario Galaxy movie.movie, this domain has been registered by NBC Universal as well. So, This could be a real indicator here that the next Mario movie is going to be about Galaxy, and perhaps that's a literal title. As Warrior64 points out, the first movie, Universal used the website name of the Super Mario Bros. Movie, which was the title of the movie. So is this one Super Mario Galaxy movie or something like that? Like, this seems like there's something here, right? And what's increasingly interesting about this is that we factor in Mario's 40th anniversary and these rumors of a Mario Galaxy 2 remaster, a Galaxy-related game. And we also know that with the Mario movie, the prior one, Yoshi was teased at the end. I think it's fair to assume that Yoshi, a personal Yoshi like from Super Mario World, will be playing a significant role here. And Mario Galaxy 2, Yoshi plays a significant role in that. So it may all be timed together here. They may have a Galaxy 2 remaster to come out because it'll be the ideal game to come out and have people play in anticipation for the movie. And we may see both tomorrow. I'll just say that we recently heard some conversations that maybe the Mario movie trailer was delayed, and so because of that, perhaps there was a plan at one point to have a separate Mario Anniversary presentation and the General Direct, but they combined them into just one big 60-minute presentation focused on just games, so we might not see the movie stuff tomorrow. But if Galaxy 2 Remaster is announced tomorrow, great. And I'll also just say that Nintendo did tell us that this Direct presentation is just about games. That wouldn't be the first time that Nintendo indicated something and then we still see a little bit more of something else. So I think it's still certainly possible that we get a Mario movie trailer tomorrow. We'll see what actually happens. Maybe this talk of a delay isn't necessarily wrong and the delay was just by a week and so they just decided to combine it into one big presentation. Hard to say, but all these things that we're hearing about are certainly interesting and it has me more excited for this epic Nintendo Direct we're going to be seeing tomorrow morning. I will be live streaming the show. I will start an hour early. We're going to be watching it in 4K. I think it's going to be a good time. So I'll see, hopefully, a lot of you there tomorrow. But anyways, everyone, that's all for now. Thank you all so much for listening and watching, and I will see you all really soon. Take care. Bye.